In today's connected world where you can see what's happening anywhere with a single click, there exists a black spot, a geopolitical black hole that swallows all information and releases very little. A nation living in its own time bubble, isolated from the world, ruled by a mysterious dynasty, and challenging the world's greatest powers with nuclear weapons. This is North Korea, the last communist kingdom on Earth. How has this country, suffering from poverty, sanctions, and famine, survived for more than 70 years? How did it build a nuclear arsenal capable of threatening the United States? And what is the secret behind the loyalty of 25 million North Koreans to the Kim family, the dynasty that has ruled the nation with an iron fist for 3 generations? Today, we embark on a journey into the most isolated and mysterious country on Earth. We'll try to understand how this impossible kingdom works, how it thinks, and how it has managed to deceive the entire world and survive against all odds. We'll separate myths from reality, propaganda from truth, and try to answer the question that has puzzled the world: why hasn't North Korea collapsed yet? The Kim Dynasty, the first communist monarchy in history. On paper, North Korea is a democratic people's republic. In reality, it's the first and most successful communist monarchy in history. Since its founding in 1948, the country has been ruled by a single family, the Kims. The founding father, Kim Il-sung, is the eternal president. His son, Kim Jong-il, is the dear leader, and his grandson, Kim Jong-un, is the supreme leader. This hereditary system completely contradicts the core principles of communism, which call for rule by the working class. But North Korea justified it by creating an unprecedented cult of personality around the Kim family. They are portrayed as gods, saviors of the nation, and protectors of the Korean people. Their portraits hang in every home, office, and classroom. Stories of their heroic deeds are taught to children from an early age. This cult of personality is not just propaganda. It's the foundation of the regime's legitimacy. It forges an emotional bond between ruler and people, making any opposition seem like treason against the entire nation. It's a form of dark political genius that has kept the Kim dynasty in power for more than 70 years. Juche ideology, self-reliance as a state religion. To justify its isolation and unique system, North Korea developed its own ideology, Juche. The word means self-reliance. It's the belief that North Korea must be completely independent in every field: politics, economy, and defense. Juche is not just a political philosophy. It's the state's religion. It teaches the Korean people that they are chosen, that they must rely only on themselves, and that the outside world is hostile and seeks their destruction. This creates a deep sense of unity and pride while justifying economic hardship and international isolation. Under Juche, North Korea built its economy on self-sufficiency. All industries and agriculture were nationalized, and foreign trade was heavily restricted. This led to economic disasters and famine, but it also made North Korea resistant to external pressure. When the United States imposes sanctions, their impact is limited because the economy is already isolated. Juche is also a tool of social control. It teaches citizens to obey the leader without question and to sacrifice themselves for the state. It creates a disciplined, united society that is almost impossible to infiltrate from the outside. The nuclear arsenal, a life insurance policy. Why does a poor, isolated country like North Korea have nuclear weapons? The answer is simple: survival. The Kim regime saw what happened to Saddam Hussein in Iraq and Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Both gave up their nuclear ambitions in exchange for Western promises of safety. The lesson was clear: the only way to guarantee the regime's survival is to possess nuclear deterrence. North Korea's nuclear program is not meant for attack, but for defense. It sends a clear message to the United States and the world: any attempt to force regime change will have catastrophic consequences. That's why North Korea is willing to endure sanctions, famine, and all kinds of pressure to preserve its nuclear weapons. It's a matter of life or death. These weapons also give North Korea disproportionate diplomatic power. They force major powers to sit down and negotiate. They transform a pariah state into a global player. Every missile launch, every nuclear test is a cry for attention, a reminder that North Korea exists and cannot be ignored. Korea is isolated but not entirely alone. It has one powerful ally, China. China is North Korea's largest trading partner and provides about 90% of its food and energy supplies. Without Chinese support, the regime would likely collapse. But why does China keep backing this troublesome neighbor? The answer lies in geopolitics. China doesn't want a US-aligned regime on its border. The collapse of North Korea would bring millions of refugees into China, and possibly American troops to the Yalu River, the border between the two countries. So it's in China's interest to keep North Korea as a buffer zone between itself and America's allies, South Korea and Japan. However, China is also frustrated. North Korea's nuclear tests and missile launches destabilize the region and force Beijing to choose between its old ally and the international community. China is walking a tightrope, trying to support the regime without letting it start a war. In many ways, North Korea's fate depends on decisions made in Beijing. The shadow economy. How do people survive? Officially, North Korea's economy is a centrally planned socialist system. In reality, there's a parallel economy, an informal one, that keeps people alive. It's called Jangmadang, or the black markets. After the Great Famine of the 1990s, which killed hundreds of thousands, the regime realized it couldn't meet the people's needs, so it quietly allowed small private markets to appear. These markets grew and evolved, becoming an essential part of daily life in North Korea. In these markets, you can find everything: food, clothes, electronics, cosmetics, even smuggled foreign movies and dramas. They've created a new class of small entrepreneurs who rely on themselves rather than the state. It's a silent capitalism growing under the socialist surface. This shadow economy creates a paradox. It weakens the regime's control, but also acts as a safety valve that prevents total collapse. The government tolerates it as long as it doesn't threaten its authority. The most controversial question about North Korea is this: are its people brainwashed, or do they truly believe in the system? The truth is complicated. It's a mix of both. From birth, North Koreans are exposed to intense propaganda glorifying the Kim family. They're completely isolated from the outside world and only know the official version of reality presented by the state. This undoubtedly shapes their minds, a form of mass indoctrination. But there's also genuine belief. After decades of isolation and propaganda, many North Koreans truly believe they live in the best country in the world, led by a caring father figure. They feel pride in their nation and in its ability to stand up to superpowers. That pride is real and cannot be dismissed. And of course, there's fear. North Korea is one of the most repressive regimes on earth. A hint of disloyalty can lead to prison or execution, not just for the offender, but for their entire family, up to 3 generations. Fear ensures obedience, even among those who may secretly doubt. Despite its success in survival, North Korea faces enormous challenges. The economy is weak, people lack food and medicine, sanctions are suffocating the country, and isolation makes technological progress nearly impossible. A new generation, raised amid black markets and foreign media, may be less loyal than their parents. Information is slowly leaking in, revealing the truth behind state propaganda. Can the regime maintain control in the age of information? The future is uncertain. The system may continue adapting and surviving for decades, or it could suddenly collapse under its own weight, or perhaps it will follow China's path, opening its economy while keeping political control. The Korean People's Army, the 4th largest army in the world. Despite its poverty, North Korea has the fourth largest army in the world by manpower, after China, India, and the United States. The army has around 1.2 million active soldiers and 600,000 reservists. That means about 5% of the population are in uniform, the highest ratio in the world. Military service is mandatory for both men and women, 10 years for men and 7 years for women. This creates a fully militarized society where nearly every citizen is trained for combat. The army is not just a defensive force, it's also a tool for internal control and a labor force involved in construction and farming. Much of its equipment dates back to the Soviet era, but it compensates with numbers and high morale. It also possesses elite special forces and advanced cyber warfare units. However, the real power of the North Korean army lies in its artillery. Thousands of guns and rockets are aimed at Seoul, only 50 kilometers away from the border. Any attack on North Korea would trigger devastating bombardment, killing millions of civilians. This sea of fire is a powerful conventional deterrent that keeps enemies at bay. No discussion of North Korea is complete without mentioning its horrific human rights record. Reports from the United Nations and human rights organizations describe political prison camps holding between 80,000 and 120,000 inmates. They endure torture, starvation, forced labor, and executions. The regime controls every aspect of its citizens' lives. There is no freedom of speech, press, religion, or movement. Anyone suspected of disloyalty faces severe punishment. The internet is banned for ordinary people and all media is state-controlled. This extreme repression is one of the main reasons the regime survives. It creates an atmosphere of fear that prevents rebellion, but it's also a potential weakness. If information continues to leak in and people realize the truth about their situation, it could ignite an uprising. The international community condemns North Korea's abuses but has few options. Military intervention would be catastrophic, while sanctions often hurt the people more than the regime. It's a moral and political dilemma with no easy solution. The story of North Korea is dark and disturbing, yet fascinating. It shows how a regime, no matter how strange or oppressive, can endure through a mix of political cunning, military strength, foreign support, and total control over its people's minds. North Korea reminds us that the world is not simple. There are many ways to organize societies and power. It forces us to question our own assumptions about freedom, democracy, and progress. It's a dark mirror reflecting our fears of the unknown. In the end, whether you see it as a rogue nation, a cursed kingdom, or simply a victim of history, one thing is undeniable. North Korea is one of the most extraordinary and controversial geopolitical phenomena of our time. The impossible state that refuses to die and will continue to baffle the world for years to come.